Tell me something, girl. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to John Dudley Speaks. I'm your host, Puddin'. The legendary Lady Gaga is a name that doesn't need an introduction at this point, but she deserves her flowers for what she's been able to do for music as a medium and as a form of artistic expression. Prior to her explosion in fame, Gaga pursued music and acting and even showed up in a Sopranos episode in 2001, but her ascension to superstardom was far from easy. Nevertheless, she persisted with resolve and was briefly signed to Def Jam, yet upon being dropped, she reinvented herself, diving headfirst into 70s glam rock pastiches and performing at burlesque clubs, eventually landing her spot on the Streamline Records imprint at Interscope. Her debut album, The Fame, came in 2008, with a gigantic marketing push that I remember cementing her as a household name instantly. It's a mammoth of a dance pop release, with enduring hits like Poker Face, Love Game, Paparazzi, and Just Dance, but overall most of that Red One production still hits today, even if the synth-driven glitz and glam may not age the best. But it's her performances and her outfits and her tinkering with what was acceptable in the public eye that really drove everyone to her allure. The Fame Monster dropped the very next year, and to date it's probably the most fully realized Gaga project. Bad Romance is a pop banger for the ages, Alejandro is still one of my top 5 songs of hers, and everything else is concise, well packaged, and tactically executed, and not to mention boasts heavy doses of gothic pop that are quite tantalizing. 2011, however, was when Gaga really leveled up her star power, amplifying her 80s tinged Madonna-influenced glam pop to the max with Born This Way, a total dreadnought of female empowerment, sexual freedom, and LGBTQ visibility, all tied together with dingy German electro house beats and Springsteen stadium rock. This album is a complete and utter masterpiece, and it's probably one that I'd retroactively go back and give a 10 out of 10. Her follow-up, Art Pop, came a couple years later, and it's not one that I particularly like, due to its watered-down sound from the production suite of Zedd and David Guetta, and 2016's Joanne is a serviceable mishmash of genre stylings, yet it's a little unfocused and forced, so I don't think the abrupt shift in approach was one that worked for her. After her next big project, the A Star Is Born soundtrack earned her a much-deserved Oscar win. 2020 gave us Chromatica, and it's by far my least favorite project of hers, mainly because it fails to capture that innovation and character of her earlier dance-based work. Which brings us to Harlequin, a companion record made in conjunction with Todd Phillips' new film Joker Folie à Deux, that is clearly meant to pull from similar concepts and themes in the film, just specifically from Lee Quinzel's POV. And I gotta say, this record sparkles with ingenuity, a tangible rawness, and a familiarly theatrical tilt that we've always loved from her. With a band that's suitably baroque and naturalistic, producer Benjamin Rice and Lady Gaga herself aren't exactly reinventing the wheel here, but they do reinvigorate a style that's long been dormant in the mainstream space. With most of these songs being covers or reinterpretations, Rice and Gaga had the chance to do a modern twist of an update, but I'm so glad they didn't. Instead, they dirty up the swing-based jazz aesthetic that Gaga's been known to dabble in, making it sound like it's being laid down in a studio with the acoustics of an inpatient hospital room. Good Morning and Get Happy 2024 mix in choral vocals that fill out the production, providing a quirky atmosphere that's both dingy and esteemed. The rock influence The Joker is a huge musical highlight, with both Gaga and Rice allowing the rugged energy to drive the track rather than Gaga's own voice. And the rousing cover of That's Life feels like a revamped version for this new era, paying gigantic respect to its foundations while also executing it with a grandiosity and weight that most pop artists would struggle to implement into their instrumentals. It may not have the most forward-thinking flourishes, and its mixing may dilute some of its punch, but this is the work of artists at its core, and this set of instrumentals does not let us forget that. I don't have much to say about this record's songwriting, mainly because it's pulling from already established songs and well-known covers, but I am impressed with how Gaga's tying this into Harley's own thematic journey, which imbues the album with a sense of dread in its tone. Where I don't think it fully works is its surface-level placidity in some of these tracks. For instance, Oh and the Saints and Gonna Build a Mountain don't translate their messianic, far-reaching themes as much as they need to in this format, and with that gospel-tinged touch across this album's core songwriting and arrangements, I do feel like that can muddle the overall message concerning Harley's goals and aspirations. At the same time though, I loved the original song Happy Mistake, where Gaga excellently hammers on the vulnerability and subsequent shame of seeking validation and love from the rest of the world. It's moments like that and Folie à Deux where she taps into Harley's mental state and finds an inner humanity and peace in her quest for undying love. And I thought that spoke to the character's needs far more than other songs here that were a lot more generalizing in their inclusion. First and foremost, the band on this record is on absolute fire. The saxophone solos are electric, the trumpets are bold and infectious, the drums are booming, yet there's one thing here that's more impressive than all of them. Lady Gaga's impeccable voice. With a vocal range that is stacked to the brim with character and liveliness, she makes each composition pop with her endlessly stirring performances. The Joker was a massive win in this track listing, where she dials into a smoky, almost Joan Jett-inspired slick rocker chick vibe, only for her decorated runs to take over the track with authority that invites curiosity. Simultaneously, the balladry is gripping from the moment that her vocals enter the musical landscape, altering our very vision of the album's atmosphere just from the sheer emotion in her timbre. World on a String is another flex for Gaga, as well as That's Entertainment and the muscularly executed bombast of That's Life, showing us that those Tony Bennett collab albums were just tidbits of the titanic talent that she could bring to these types of songs. At 41 minutes and 13 tracks, this album does tend to drag in spots, but overall I wouldn't change much outside of the gospel-inflected detours. Because Gaga and Rice are so compelling in their detailed tributes to these sounds, the album is dense and stylistically enveloping from the first track to the last, without any of the sonic illusions becoming stale in the process. Your mileage may vary if you're a Gaga fan, but if you're a diehard, you might be enthralled to hear her so confidently and bravely welcome such a change in pace. I enjoyed this album very much, and I applaud Lady Gaga's versatility and flexibility as an artist. And even if this isn't something that you connect to or vibe with, since it's technically a soundtrack album, I think you have to respect Gaga's ability to keep people guessing 15 years into her career at this point. But hey, that's just my perspective. If you're a Lady Gaga fan, this is just another amazing addition to her repertoire. And if you want a record that's a little more strange and obscure that matches the portrayal of Harley Quinn in the film, all prior to Gaga coming back for a proper 7th studio record, this one will do the trick. Alright, that's all I got. Bye!